Hello ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? This is Force with some more Elder Scrolls Online. In today's video, I'd like to show you some clips of me soloing the world bosses in ESO. Now just to clarify, world bosses are the skull icons that you'll come across in the game. A majority of the time it is a single difficult boss mob. Sometimes there will be multiple NPCs, but again, most of the time it is just a single character. Because of that fact, I have been able to quite easily, on multiple characters, solo these things without hesitation. I mean, it's really no problem. Now, you will notice a recurring theme, and that is the fact that I'm playing as range. I'm going to show you multiple characters here soloing bosses, but that's basically all that's required. If you're playing as range and you've got any semblance of crowd control, roots, stuns, knockbacks, snares, you should have no problem soloing these outdoor bosses. So then that's going to bring up the point of this video. I want to talk about whether or not you think it's okay that that's possible, because it is. Very, very much so, and what you think they could do to fix it. I'm also going to give you some of my opinions on both of those. So to the question of should it be possible, my response is no. I do not think it should be possible to solo these outdoor bosses. As it stands, a majority of this game can quite easily be soloed. Obviously, all of the solo questing experience that you get while you're leveling up to 1 to 50, that is soloable as it should be, as it's designed to be. But even the public group dungeons, and obviously the public solo dungeons, but even the public group dungeons are pretty easy to solo, even if you have just some sort of an AoE focused build on one of your 2 hotbars, which, mind you probably should for that very reason. So because there is so much solo potential with this game while you're leveling up, and the only thing that is actually required to group up for are those private instanced group dungeons where you take a group of 4 people and you've got all those boss fights and those trash mobs, those are really the only thing that you absolutely 100% need a group for, because if you have a decent build, you will have no problem once more with the public group dungeons. And as you're going to see here in this video, you'll have no problem as a range character with CC fighting a majority of these outdoor bosses. Now, I do want to say, you can't solo all of these, at least I personally haven't been able to. I have got a veteran rank 2 Nightblade that's focused on bow and 2-hand. I'm currently leveling up a character that's level 30, a Dragon Knight, that's focused on destruction, staff, and AoE damage, as well as a 1-hand and shield. And then I've got a variety of other characters between 10 and 15 that I've been able to solo those low-level world bosses, and they're just a hodgepodge of things, some of them even melee. But there is the recurring theme of range with CC, that is going to be how you can quite easily do this. But once more, I don't think it should be possible because there is so much solo already that you can do in this game a majority of the time, and there's so little forced group effort. I think that these should be one of those instances, that these outdoor world bosses should require a group, multiple people, someone to heal, someone to draw aggro, someone to DPS. I think that it should require it, and I think that'd be a great thing for this game to have that social aspect forced in these small instances. Again, most of the game you can solo without problem. You never have to talk to or group with another person. If you don't want to do those group instance dungeons, you're going to be able to get from 1 to 50 by yourself without problems. So then that leads us into how do they fix this? There's a few things that I think that they can do. The first of which is just make more mobs in these areas. Now, most of these boss fights that I've been able to solo, and again, I would say that's probably about 80 to 90% of those that I've come across, have been single enemies. When there are multiple characters to fight, it is significantly more difficult. In fact, many times it is almost impossible for me to solo because I am able to solo the ones that I can because I'm able to lock down a single target. When there's multiple, that becomes a lot more hazardous, or even if I have multiple character roots, which I do, for example, on my Dragon Knight, it runs me out of mana way too quickly, and I'm not doing enough damage to actually take down those multiple targets. So make it so that more of these boss areas have an NPC attached to them, so you have to fight at least 2 characters. Another thing that I think they need to do is put diminishing returns on the CC effects, the crowd control effects. I talked to this point in a video that I think I put out last week about how CC made some of the PvE experience just way too easy, and this is a perfect example. With crowd control, control with knockbacks, stun downs, roots, all those things with a single target, there's no problem. However, if there was a diminishing returns after you use the same effect a few times in a row, they become immune to it temporarily, and then they're going to just walk up to you and smack you in the face. But because I'm playing at range and I'm locking them down, they don't even get within melee range of me most of the time, and so they're not even doing any damage to me. And then finally, the one last piece that I think that they could add would be gap closers for the melee world bosses that you come up against. Because we're able to keep them out of range, without gap closers, without immunity to CC, once more, they're just not dealing damage to us. So if we give them, hooks to pull us towards them, if we give them leap or charge effects, that would drastically cut down on the ability to keep them out of damage dealing range, and thusly it would cut down on our chances of soloing these things. And while it's cool and while I feel awesome being able to solo this stuff that's supposed to be tailored to a group, I do think it takes away from something that it could be more. It could be much more. They should also increase the drops off these things, especially if they're gonna make it so that it does require a group. Because right now the drops are usually, just sort of whatever, just like anything you'll get off any other NPC. So if they increase the drops off these things, make them more difficult, force a group to engage these. And it's not because I want to force everyone to have to group for so much content in this game. Once more, it's because as it stands, you're able to solo pretty much everything else, so to have something that does require a group, I think would just add an interesting element and again add to that social aspect, which is, an MMO, what it's supposed to be about. So there you go, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this discussion video and some gameplay footage of me soloing some of the world bosses. Please be sure to chime in the comment section below with your thoughts and opinions on this matter. Once more, do you think that we should be able to solo these things? And if not, what do you think they should do to fix it? Again, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Thanks again, guys. If you like the content, please subscribe, keep watching, and keep owning.